The morning sun rose softly over the quiet suburban community of Maple Creek Estates, painting the white fences and trimmed hedges in gold. It was one of those neighborhoods that looked perfect from the outside: manicured lawns, neat driveways, and little fountains that whispered peace. But beneath that still surface, there were rules. Endless rules. No lawn more than 2 inches high. No cars parked overnight on the street. No flowers that didn't match the HOA's approved color palette. And, of course, no trespassing on community property, even if you owned it. A calm return. That morning, Daniel Harlow pulled up in his silver sedan and paused at the gate. He had once lived here, years ago, before life had taken him through courtrooms, long hearings, and the endless paperwork that came with being a district judge. He hadn't returned to Maple Creek in nearly 7 years, not since his mother passed away. Her small home still stood near the edge of the neighborhood, overlooking a pond surrounded by oak trees. After her death, Daniel had quietly inherited the property, paying the taxes every year, though he rarely set foot on it. Now, as he sat in his car, a strange mixture of nostalgia and weariness settled over him. He'd come to check on repairs, maybe repaint the porch before deciding what to do with the place. He typed the gate code his mother used to keep taped behind a photo frame. But the keypad blinked red. Access denied. He frowned. Tried again. Same message. A voice crackled through the intercom. Greater than, "This is Maple Creek Security. Can I help you?" Daniel leaned closer. "Yes, my name is Daniel Harlow. I'm here to visit my property, number 118, by the pond." There was a pause. Then the guard said curtly, "Greater than, sir, that lot is currently restricted. HOA regulations prohibit access to unapproved visitors." Unapproved visitors. Daniel repeated slowly. "I own that property." But the gate remained closed. He sighed. So this is how it starts, he thought. The HOA president. A black SUV rolled up behind him. Out stepped a woman in a neat blazer and pearls, the kind of person who seemed born to run homeowner associations. Her name was Margaret Lane, the president of the Maple Creek HOA. Daniel remembered her vaguely from years ago, always holding clipboards and smiling too wide at meetings. "Sir, is there a problem?" she asked, her tone polite but sharp as glass. Daniel introduced himself again. "Just trying to access my own property." Margaret's expression didn't change. "Ah, yes, lot 118. You see, it's currently under review due to noncompliance issues. Until those are resolved, entry is prohibited without HOA authorization." Daniel blinked. "Noncompliance? I haven't lived there in years." "Well, there have been some issues: overgrown weeds, unapproved modifications, unpaid maintenance dues." "I've paid the dues," he interrupted calmly. Margaret smiled tightly. "Our records indicate otherwise." Behind that smile, Daniel could see it clearly: the power game. The small, intoxicating authority that some people craved more than money. He gave her a slow nod. "All right. I'll just take a look and come back with the paperwork." But when he drove toward the side gate, 2 HOA security guards blocked the road. The confrontation. Daniel parked his car and decided to walk. The air was cool, filled with the rustle of leaves. He crossed the small bridge toward his mother's old house, heart heavy with memories. The porch was dusty, the paint faded, but everything else looked as it always had. The rocking chair by the window, the little wind chime that sang when the breeze passed. He smiled faintly. "Still home," he whispered. Then came the sirens. A patrol car rolled up, lights flashing silently. 2 officers stepped out. One of them, a young man, looked apologetic. "Sir, we got a call about trespassing. Are you Daniel Harlow?" "Yes," Daniel said evenly. "This is my property." The older officer, more skeptical, crossed his arms. "The HOA president says otherwise. She claims you've been warned not to enter." Margaret appeared moments later, her pearls glinting like small trophies. "Officers," she said, "this man has been repeatedly told to stay away. He's disturbing the neighborhood." Daniel stood quietly. His hands were relaxed, but his voice carried calm authority. "Do you have the deed?" the older officer asked. Daniel reached into his briefcase, pulled out a folder, and handed over the papers. "Deed, tax receipts, proof of ownership, all current." Margaret's confident smile flickered. The officer scanned the documents, his brows lifting. "Everything checks out, ma'am. Looks like he's telling the truth." Margaret's tone turned sharp. Well, we have our own regulations. He's still violating HOA protocol. Daniel's eyes met hers, steady, patient, unyielding. Protocol doesn't override property law, Ms. Lane. He turned to the officers. I appreciate your time, gentlemen. I think I can handle the rest. They hesitated but nodded, leaving the scene. Margaret stayed, fuming. The hidden power. As soon as the police left, Margaret's composure cracked. You can't talk to me like that, Mr. Harlow. We have the right to enforce our rules. Daniel looked at her thoughtfully. You seem very sure of that. Tell me, Margaret, do you know who I am? She scoffed. You're a resident violating HOA protocol. No, he said softly, I'm Judge Daniel Harlow, District Court, 2nd Circuit. Her lips parted slightly. The color drained from her face. I oversee property and zoning disputes across this county. Including, he glanced at the faded HOA sign, cases involving Maple Creek Estates. The silence that followed was long and heavy. He didn't raise his voice, didn't threaten. His tone remained calm, almost gentle. I didn't come here to cause trouble, Margaret. I came to see my late mother's home. But what I've seen tells me there are deeper issues here: abuse of authority, mismanagement of dues, possible violations of homeowners' rights. Margaret stammered, I didn't mean, Judge Harlow, we were just following standard procedure. I understand, Daniel said quietly. But procedure must follow the law. The investigation. Over the next few weeks, Daniel returned, this time, not as a resident but as an investigator. He requested financial records, meeting minutes, and board correspondence. Some members of the community reached out to him privately, grateful someone was finally listening. They spoke of unfair fines, threats, and favoritism. Daniel listened patiently, documenting everything. He never raised his voice, never promised revenge. He simply took notes, his mind methodical, his heart heavy with quiet determination. He saw the cracks beneath the perfect lawns, the fear, the silence, the exhaustion of ordinary people bullied by those who mistook power for purpose. And when the time came, he did what judges do best. He acted within the law. The hearing. The hearing took place in a modest county courtroom on a gray Monday morning. The HOA board sat stiffly at one table. Daniel presided from the bench, robes crisp and expression neutral. Margaret avoided his eyes. Case number 240917, the clerk announced. Maple Creek Homeowners Association vs. Daniel Harlow, motion for injunction. But before the HOA attorney could begin, Daniel raised a hand. This court has reviewed not only the motion, he said evenly, but also the HOA's internal operations, including financial transparency and procedural conduct. He paused, letting the silence fill the room. The findings, he continued, reveal significant breaches of state law regarding homeowner rights, unauthorized assessments, and misuse of funds. Margaret's lawyer swallowed hard. Therefore, Daniel said, voice calm but firm, this court issues an injunction against the HOA, effective immediately. Its board is to be dissolved pending audit and reorganization under independent supervision. Gasps filled the room. Margaret's pen slipped from her hand, clattering on the table. Daniel's gaze softened, not with triumph, but with quiet sorrow. Power is a responsibility, Ms. Lane. When it becomes control, justice must restore balance. The aftermath. Weeks passed. The neighborhood slowly changed. Without the suffocating rules, people began to breathe again. Kids played near the pond. Neighbors greeted one another instead of filing complaints. Daniel repainted his mother's house himself, soft gray with white trim. On weekends, he sat on the porch, coffee in hand, listening to the wind chimes sing. Sometimes, old residents stopped by to thank him. He never took credit. He only smiled and said, it was overdue. Margaret moved away quietly. The HOA was restructured under new management, this time with open meetings and fair elections. The place began to feel human again. A gentle ending. One evening, the sunset spread across the pond like melted gold. Daniel stood by the water, remembering his mother's voice, the way she used to say, justice isn't about punishment, Danny. It's about peace. He finally understood. He hadn't shut the HOA down for revenge. He'd done it to bring peace, to a place that had forgotten kindness in its pursuit of order. The wind rustled through the oak trees, scattering small ripples across the surface of the pond. The world felt still again. Daniel smiled, took a deep breath, and whispered to the air. "Greater than, it's home again, Mom." The chime on the porch rang softly, as if answering. And for the first time in years, Judge Daniel Harlow felt truly at peace, both as a man and as a judge who remembered what justice was meant to protect: simple, human dignity.